What's up, guys, and welcome back to Paint Bravely, the podcast where you can find a little bit of encouragement, discover new ways to make your hobby more fun, and most importantly, learn to paint bravely. Now, we've got some comments here and there that we're going to talk about this week, and I think just in general talk about, I don't know, just stuff we've been up to. So Brent, I'm going to hand it over to you. What have you been up to since we talked last?
Okay, I need to start with a pressing issue here. I was listening to Trapped Under Plastic today. You should listen to that. But John and Scott said something false that I needed to bring up.
Ooh,
now, they were talking about their plans for 2021 and like, oh, I'm going to make an Age of Sigmar army. I'm going to make a 40K army. And then they were talking about what they were going to paint up for 40K. And you know, one of them said, oh, I think you know what I'm painting up. The other was like, oh, I think you know what I'm painting up. They're apparently going to be painting up some Dark Eldar, and they called dibs. They were like fighting with each other over who had dibs on Dark Eldar. Really? And that's wrong, because I have dibs on painting Dark Eldar. So, yeah. Just to emphasize, here's a raider full of raiders, you know? Here's a raider full of raiders, and you can you can listen to this on your phone. You can watch this on YouTube. Here's another full of raider full of raiders. I could do this all day, but I'm not gonna. We're gonna move on here.
Yeah, raiders for days. Yeah.
Yeah, I just need John and Scott to know. Actually, I have dibs on Dark Eldar. But no, that brings back fond memories of middle school woodshop class. I think we were supposed to be making like corner shelf or something, but we were arguing over who was going to play which faction.
It's a good time.
Yeah, that's how folks picked factions. You figure out what your friends are playing, and you fill in the gaps, and you know. Yeah.
How did that? I mean, just since we're on that topic, like, how did you end up with Dark Eldar specifically? Because this goes back what now? You've had dibs for 25 years?
At least 20, yeah.
20? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, it's hard to remember at this point. Like, I think, like, Mr. Turner was yelling at somebody else, and we were having our little discussion about which armies were cool, and... Man, I can't remember, I think, because other people had the Space Marines and the Imperial Guard, and I just wound up with them. I'm not even sure how, but here we are. That's the important thing. Yeah. Whatever happened on that day, I called dibs. I know that.
Yeah, you got dibs. I'm just setting a timeline, some precedents, you know, just helping you out there.
This is all insane, though, because I realize that most people just play Space Marines. And so calling dibs is stupid because everyone just plays Space Marines anyway. And the fact that there's going to be like 3 Dark Eldar players in the world really isn't that big of an issue.
It's a good point, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, and you'd hope that they would, they'd be good enough to paint more than one army in their lifetime. I mean, maybe not Scott, but I think John might get around to 2 or 3.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, just historically, this is kind of an underplayed army, and there was a long period of time where they were on the same codex for 10 years and stuff. Whew. And it was like a real surprise when they actually updated the model line, and so yeah, it's kind of fun to hear that other people are getting into it. And of course, I'm sure we're all going to have different paint schemes. But this is kind of a heads up to anyone who does some speculation on eBay, you know, buy low, sell high, that kind of thing. Maybe later on in 2021, there's going to be some YouTubers generating hype for Dark Eldar Drukhari. So now's the time to buy, because those prices might be spiking as we get into 2021 here.
Yeah, when was the last time they had an update? It's been a
5th
while,
edition?
right? Yeah, it's been a while.
5th edition, but the models from then are good. There's 4 or 5 like really good plastic kits from then. Yeah, 6 or 7. I don't know. There's several good plastic kits from them that still look really good. So
yeah. Well, if I was gonna play Dark Eldar, because I almost had dibs on that when I was also a wee lad, I ended up switching to Eldar, but my first go-to was Dark Eldar, because you know they're dark. That's what we did. Metal. But having some of those newer kits with, you know, the stuff that you don't like the flayed kind of flesh dudes, things like that, like I'm way into that. So, you know, there are options within the Dark Eldar codex, I suppose.
Yeah, you can get right in there too. But I'm just thinking for the speculation, you know, buying and selling commodities, you know, get your stocks going.
Yep.
Buy those cheap Dark Eldar now. John Scott and I are going to hype them up throughout the year. And eventually it's just going to be impossible to get an Archon when you need one. And that's when you sell.
Yeah, right.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah. So
I'm looking.
So that's me. That's the first thing I needed to say. What's new with you, Casey?
Well, I'm trying to look on my phone there. I was actually looking at an army lot for Dark Eldar yesterday, and I saved the auction.
Of course you were.
I was like legitimately. I was looking for it on my phone to show proof. But yeah, I thought, okay, I'm not just gonna buy this outright. I'm gonna wait. Actually, I've been doing a lot of eBay lately. Just today I got, I think, 4 packages. So kind of gearing up for the year. Kind of have some ideas of where I want to take things channel wise, like narratively. So I'm trying to get like a nice collection of used models ready to go. I bought this awesome squad of Space Marines that I will send a picture to Matt and he can put them up. Really cool. Like they've got to be, you know, first edition, second edition, super tiny Space Marines. They're like a squad on their own. They're some kind of like elite 5-man squad or something. I don't know what they are specifically, but some of the coolest models that I've ever bought for this game. And I don't know why I've never seen them before, but they're awesome. So yeah, I've just been doing a lot of that and getting geared up to get a new tattoo, which
I saw that.
Interesting. Yeah. I'm not sure why I did it. Probably because I wanted to anyways, but I basically bet the viewers of my YouTube channel, you know, if we can get to a certain amount of likes, I would get a tattoo and I would film it. And it hit the number in like 3 hours. And it's like quadruple the amount of likes I've ever gotten on a video. So yeah, shouldn't have.
Yeah, you bribed your viewers with the promise of body mutilation if they gave you some likes for your videos. So
pretty much, yeah.
I hope you have a really cool orc tattoo in mind. A lot of good options.
Yeah, I've got a few different really fun things. I'm actually going in. So we're recording right now is a Monday. I'm going in 2 days on a Wednesday. So by the time this podcast comes up, you won't see it on me anywhere. But yeah, that video should be up right now. So you'll see the tattoo when this podcast goes live.
You got your location. You have everything planned though. You got your location. Where is it?
It's gonna be on my forearm right here, inner forearm. Yeah.
Yeah. If Casey hits 10,000 likes, full sleeve orc tattoo.
So funny thing.
I'm promising the viewers here right now. If this video gets 10,000 likes, Casey is getting a full sleeve orc tattoo.
I mean, I'll do it.
10,000 likes, people.
10,000 likes, and I'll get a full sleeve on this side. Mm-hmm. I could do that. I can manage that. I don't know if I don't see. That's the thing. I thought what I was asking for was too high. Like I thought maybe there's a chance, but that was stupid. I was stupid because it didn't take long at all. But yeah, so that's planned out. Actually, as soon as it hit the number, I made some phone calls and asked if I could come in and film and do all this stuff, and they're like super cool about it. And it's all scheduled and ready to go. So like no backing out now. I've already put my deposit down. So yeah, it should be interesting, but I wasn't expecting to actually do that right now. It was like something that was in the back of my mind. And I was like, oh, this would be fun to kind of test out whether or not likes actually do anything to your video. Turns out they don't do anything. Yeah. Like, there was zero difference in any of the metrics for that video being liked. Way more than any other video I have.
Yeah, but you got more likes.
Yep.
So there's
Made
that.
me feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well, cool. I'm looking forward to that, Casey. That's going to be good.
Yeah, it should be good. Pretty happy about that.
But yeah, when you said the number that you were shooting for, I was like, oh, Casey's just already decided to get a tattoo. And yeah.
I thought it was a fine number. I thought wrong.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, right. So that's what's going on for me. Other than that, I'm still painting corn. Oh,
I understand.
So much.
Yeah. So I'm still painting Chaos myself. I've got my Chaos Undivided here, my yellow boys. Still cranking along on those. Yeah, not to date this episode too much, but this was the week where there was a lynch mob in the capital of the United States, so I kind of took a few days off to scroll Twitter on one monitor while playing Warhammer 2 Total War on the other one. So
yeah.
Luckily on Steam sale, I was able to pick up a DLC for Warhammer Total War, and I got the Chaos Warriors, so trying to really immerse myself in this Archaon Ever-Chosen army. And something I learned is that the Marauder Horsemen are pretty cool. The models are like just barely cool enough to still work. They're pretty old.
That's true.
The Chaos Marauders on foot are some of the ugliest models that are still in plastic and still sold by GW, but the ones on horseback are good enough.
The horses give them a sense of movement that the riders don't technically have. Like the flowy capes coming off the horses make it look better.
Yeah, the horses on those are actually pretty good, which helps a lot.
Yeah.
And then the riders are wearing just a little bit more armor, I feel, than the Marauders on foot. And it just covers like some of their clunkier features just a little bit better.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm thinking about expanding out in that direction, but
more horses is good.
Yeah, as always, I can't recommend enough the Steam sale, and I always recommend Warhammer Total War. A truly great game. I've loved the Total War series forever, and the Warhammer edition is really something special.
Yeah, I still haven't gotten it.
Hey, someday you'll get there. You'll get there.
It's on my wish list, my Steam wish list. So eventually it'll go on sale because I think it's still like $50 or $60. Like when it's not on sale, it's still really expensive.
Yeah, well, it's worth it. Warhammer 2, the campaign especially is really well designed.
Nice.
So
I'll get
there's
there
that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Along those lines, I broke one of my New Year's resolutions already. I was going to stop taking my phone to bed. But then a lynch mob invaded the U.S. Capitol, and so I had to keep scrolling Twitter. So
right.
So
you don't just set it like next to your bed and charge it?
No. Well, I have it. It's enough feet away that I can't like put it down from bed. Like I need to get out of bed to go to where the charger cradle is, and so it's either the phone is in its charger cradle on my desk, or the phone is under the pillow that Snuffles is sleeping on.
Interesting.
Which is where it was for like most of 2020, but I'm going to try for 2021 for that phone to be charging overnight and for me not to be staying up an extra half hour every night, like wasting my life. But,
yeah. I know that feeling. A while back there were a few different phone companies, including Apple for a little while. They're like, yeah, you really shouldn't sleep with a phone under your pillow. Might explode, kill you. Especially
that's
those
not
Samsung
my concern.
Phones.
My concern is the endless cycle between Instagram to Twitter to YouTube Studio app to
like a 0.01% chance of sudden death is fine.
That's not the problem. Yeah.
Okay.
The problem is losing between half an hour and 3 hours of sleep every night because of like weird social media addictions. That's the real.
Right.
That's how they get you. Yeah.
I mean, that literally is how they get you. They got you.
Yeah. But yeah, after the 6th of January, like I needed to stay on Twitter for a few more hours that day. Keep scrolling.
Yeah, see what's going on.
You got me.
Yeah.
It reminded me of the episode of South Park that came out not long after September 11th, when Stan's mom, Sharon, just goes into a phase where she's just lying on the couch watching cable news for like weeks at a time.
Yeah.
And that was a funny episode in general, but that really hit hard. Like
I mean, that was the truth though, right?
Right.
Like I remember that very distinctly.
Randy comes into the room and's like, Sharon, hon, you gonna do something? Yeah. She's just not even forming words. She's just lying on the couch under a blanket watching cable news.
Yeah.
Luckily, I snapped out of it after a couple of days, and I at least got some good video game playing done.
That's good.
It's all right.
It does bring up another thing. Painting while in quarantine sucks a lot.
I have the opposite experience, but tell me yours.
Well, okay, so like for the most part, it's been pretty all right. But my son's preschool has been shut down several times because like somebody that's been in the building tested positive, and they're like, all right, we got to shut it down, for the appropriate amount of like 10-day, 14-day, whatever it is. So last week I got a call Monday at like 12. Oh, you got to come pick your kid up. Okay. Yeah, he was exposed last Thursday and the test just came back positive. That's when it started, so got to pick him up. And we're closing everything down. So last week, I had like 8 hours to make last week's video. It was an intense staying up several hours each night kind of thing, trying to finish that thing. And trying to paint while having a 4-year-old around is next to impossible.
I see. Yeah, you meant parenting during quarantine is rough. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, did I write painting? Yes.
You wrote painting. Yeah.
Yes. It's all the same. Yeah. I just wanted to throw that out there because
autocorrect in our notes here also changed Corn Army to Koran Army.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
You gotta watch your autocorrects, Casey. That's all I'm saying.
See, I put this document together. I don't even know. It was 3 or 4 in the morning after I was painting and editing.
Oh, right.
It's one of those nights, right? That's what I'm saying.
Enough.
Quarantine, just in general, of like actually having to stay somewhere, not go anywhere because you possibly could have a disease that'll spread. It's like, great, okay. Time to just do everything when everyone else is asleep. Yeah.
Well, that's what we're doing now, right?
That is actually very true. Yes. We could have done this 8 hours earlier. We just chose not to.
Here we are. All right, I got more updates. I put out an epoxy video. I put out another hobby science video. This one's cranking in right at 9 out of 10 because the deck was loaded with what I thought about the Horus Heresy series. And,
right.
Yeah. After 21 books, I decided I do not really all that much like the Horus Heresy series.
21 though. You got 21 in?
I tried. I tried so hard, Casey. I mean, gave it all I had, and then I was just out.
I gotta hand it to you. That 21 books in, and then decided it's pretty good.
Well, because some of them aren't bad, and I do actually want to know what the story is.
Right.
But I just realized that the story could be told in about 3 books, and they're choosing not to do that.
I'm sure. Yeah.
leaned strongly against telling it in 3 books. So
a trilogy's not good enough. They need 48 books.
yeah, but anyway, so that video is why my hobby science 2-part epoxies is coming in at 9 out of 10 instead of 10 out of 10 right now. But that's okay. That still means a lot of people watched that video, which I actually think is really cool that I can just make a science video and get thousands of people to watch it. This is, I mean, it's gratifying to me, like, one, because I enjoy talking about that stuff, and it's cool that I can put some actual education into a YouTube video.
Right.
But also, at some point, I assume that I will run into folks that I went to like school with and went to grad school with, and be like, oh, what are you up to? Like, oh, I'm a professor at MIT. What are you up to? Like, I make YouTube videos, but
I do.
But if you total up the hours, I probably taught more chemistry than you did this year.
Right. With one video. Yeah.
Certainly if I make 2 videos a year, that
certainly
just about cover it. Yeah. No, but seriously, like, even this video that's not doing very well, it's got like 2,000 hours of watch time right now.
Right.
And I don't know, depending on how many students you're teaching in a semester, like, that's a good chunk of a semester right there.
Yeah.
So,
quick
hopefully
math,
I didn't make any mistakes in that 10-minute video. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it wasn't a triangle. It was round. Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah.
So I'm actually thinking about the scene in Breaking Bad now where Walter White is like meeting his old friends from school, and they're all super successful, and they're like, oh, what are you up to? He's like, I was working at a car wash because, the school district isn't paying me enough. Yeah.
Yep. That's the thing. You gotta take matters into your own hands. Don't let that pressure of other people's success get in your way.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So that's why this little epoxy video still gives me that, like, oh, I still taught more hours of chemistry this semester than you did. So, I mean, sure, you did it in an academic setting, and I did it.
They're just a bunch of corporate stooges. But... It's fine. They're just looking for tenure.
Yeah. Oh, you're making very good money working for Dow or Pfizer. That's cool. Yeah, cool. I painted this orc.
I mean, who had more fun? Come on, be honest.
No, we're in a good place right now. If 2020 had gone on for a few more years, like this conversation could have gotten pretty dark. But no, we're good. We're good. Don't worry about me.
Right.
My self-worth is all in check. It's within the tolerable ranges here.
I mean, I think that's a very important thing. Like, that's why I will never go to a reunion.
Go to what?
Like a school reunion.
Oh, reunion. Yeah.
Because literally, like, the only reason to have it is so that you can stack yourself up with other people. I mean, that's essentially what they're for. And no thank you.
I went to one of mine last year, and, it was that, I don't know, YouTube channel of 30,000 subscribers or something like that, which is, it's getting there, but it's not like I'm a lawyer and I'm married and I have 2 children and a house and, but hey, you win some, you lose some, but.
Yeah. Go back in another 10 years.
But next reunion, just wait till see how many subscribers I have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you have 3 children now? Oh, very nice. I have 3 YouTube channels. Goobertown Cats. Paint Bravely, the podcast.
There you go.
Goobertown Hobbies. And that's the one you got to look out for. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I didn't think of it that way. That's funny. I mean, I know we do this on YouTube. It's youtube.com/Paint Bravely the podcast. If you are listening to this on podcast services, we have video going and comments. Just throwing that out there. But it's a weird thing. Like I forget that we have this as a YouTube channel that like we upload regularly. It's just kind of a thing that happens, and it's weird.
Yeah, if you're watching the YouTube video right now, you can see this cat being really annoying, and you can kind of place some of the noises that you're hearing in the background.
Right. If you ever wondered, it's a good place to check.
Some of this stuff is explained in the further reading. Yeah. In the bonus material, you can see what all those weird sounds are.
Exactly. Indominus, here we come.
Yeah, there's a little blanket in that Indominus box behind me, so normally the cat's like pretty happy there for a while.
Usually.
All right, we took care of that. We saved that one. Hold on. We do have one tie-in we can do here. I was just talking about putting out a chemistry video because that ties to my past, and nobody else is putting out chemistry videos, you know.
Right. I see where we're going with this.
So we did get a comment a little while back from AR. Curious what you guys think about the YouTube side of the hobby, and if there are some niches that could be filled, or you know what your favorite type of miniature videos are. So you know, what are your favorite kind of YouTube genres, and what would be fun to combine with miniature painting and that kind of stuff. So it sounds like a question from somebody who's maybe a little YouTube curious. Maybe thinking about uploading some videos and seeing what happens. And the reason I wanted to mention this comment now is just to go along with my hobby science videos of that is a niche that very early on when I was putting together my channel, I was like, this is something that I want to do that does not really exist, at least not in our corner of YouTube, and I am more equipped to do than many other people are, and so
I'd say so.
I am not immediately thinking of a niche that I see that needs to be filled, and like when I do see that, I try to fill it as best I can.
Right.
But this is for anyone who is thinking of doing content. I mean, very much think about what your strengths are, what are your passions, your interests, your knowledge bases, what tools or filming locations do you have that maybe other people don't, and I don't know, kind of I don't know if this is a top-down construction or a bottom-up construction, but
depends.
And it's a little bit of both, probably.
Like chemistry is top down, right?
Or it's both of, I recognized that it was a niche that wasn't being filled, and it was this is a skill set I already have, and kind of those two meeting together. And I don't know, like, guy knows how to make music, you know how to make music. Actually, most of the YouTube people I know how to make music.
That's a thing we're going to have to talk about at some point. That literally, I want to say legitimately 90% of miniature painting YouTubers have been in a band and play music.
Yeah, A-Rock, if your thing was going to be that you put your own music on your channel, it's got to be better than guys. It's got to be, or at least like different but equal. You know?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it's got to have a flavor that the other folks aren't bringing.
Yeah. Also on a side note to that, my band, including editor Matt, he's in my band. We are going to be putting together an album for eBay Miniature Rescues. Just throwing that out there.
Mark your calendars, folks.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
12 years from now, I'm sure it'll drop anytime. But as far as genres and designing of a YouTube channel, having a niche is super important. Obviously, I went with the angle of rescuing miniatures, right? Nobody else was really doing that on YouTube. You were, some videos here and there, people saying, "Oh yeah, I bought these off of eBay and I'm gonna strip them and rescue them and do this thing." And since I was already doing that, and that was my main form of being in the hobby anyways, Sweet. Let's make a YouTube channel about it. Nobody else is, you know? And I mean, it can be something as simple as that, right? Like my A+ gold $1 million YouTube channel idea for miniature painting it's called The Faces of Warhammer. And all you do is paint faces from every faction, every different kind of skin tone, showing how to do it. This face is from this era of Warhammer. This is how you do the eyes, all of the things. Just faces. A+.
So I came across a YouTube channel recently, and I think I shared it with you. And it's a Star Wars fan, a collector who only likes Jabba's palace. And it's an entire YouTube channel devoted to like Star Wars toys, but only Jabba's palace.
But just Jabba, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have like a whole review series on models of Jabba, and then a whole review series on Jabba's sail barge, and then like a unboxing of Bib Fortuna, like just...
Yeah, exactly.
I was so happy to see that, because that is a niche right there.
Yes.
Like that man has established themselves as a go-to resource for Jabba's palace if you are really into Return of the Jedi. And like the less interesting half of it, Return of the Jedi, you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
so
I mean,
niches can be pretty deep. If you want to do Faces of Warhammer, you do Faces of Warhammer. And actually, I know A-Rock here, and I've seen a lot of his work because he does a good job of posting on the Discord server. But a lot of attention to detail, a lot of really getting blends and stuff, right? So there's room for that. We gotta figure out a fun little twist to sell it. But
yeah, I think that's exactly right.
Which is not helpful, because they just asked us like, what's a good idea for a niche, and we said, you gotta find your niche.
Well, but that's the thing, right? It's one of those, you know, it's one of those things.
I think the operating word is your niche, though.
Yes.
I mean, you can kind of do it by like, what are the holes, but I think a better approach might be, what are my strengths? What are my interests? What do I want to do? What am I want to put the time in for?
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, because, you know, like I sit down every single week to make a new video, and I have to look at the stuff that I have and go, what is exciting, and figure something out. And if I wasn't excited about it, I wouldn't continue to do it every week. So if it's something that, if you're just trying to fill a hole, you know, find the gap in the market, as it were, like, that's just not sustainable, because you're not going to be happy. And that's why it is finding your specific niche. If it's something that you really like doing, like legitimately, if you actually loved painting faces and like you picked out models specifically because you're like, that has a sweet face, I can't wait to paint that, like, that would make perfect sense. If not, you're probably going to get burnt out in a few months.
Agreed. All right, you want to move on to a new comment here, Casey?
Sure. Which one?
This is all you, Casey.
Oh, you mean... Yeah, okay. All right, so, okay.
That's exactly what I mean.
That's exactly what you mean. All right. Well, specifically, when I started the document for this week's podcast, I wanted to talk about kind of legacies. Like, what happens to our models? I mean, when we die, I guess there's no better way to put that. Like, what happens to our models in general? Like, where do they go? You know, when we buy used models, where are those coming from? And are we thinking about that fully, I guess, when we buy used models? Because I don't tend to think about it, because it's usually a transactional thing. But, you know, we've talked about on this channel before, Brent, you picked up that sweet $200 Warhammer lot on Craigslist. Turned out that the guy had passed away, and that's how you got that lot. So it kind of changes the way that you think about those models. You know, you did that restoration specifically because you were thinking about it differently, right? So I made a video a few weeks ago called The Worst Warhammer Army I've Ever Seen. Now, there are plenty of reasons why it is the actual worst army I've ever seen. It has nothing to do with paint job. But I got a I got a comment on that video and all of the subsequent videos about this army. And I guess I'll just read it. So this is from KK. As the original seller, a bit of backstory. I have been buying and selling Warhammer for 15 years. I also do professional painting jobs and commissions for fun. About 4 years ago, a fellow wargamer gave me his 9-year-old son's Khorne army after he passed away for free. It was his first army and was using it to learn how to paint. I placed them in simple green, but ironically moved to Reno shortly after for work. When I returned back home to PA beginning of last year, I discovered them and put them up for sale. He was downsizing at the time. Ironically, if I had them with me in Nevada, I could have walked a mile to the house and said, "Free army, here you go." And at the bottom it says, "Please remember, we all start somewhere." Now, obviously, I buy a lot of used miniatures, and I don't know where they're coming from. And this is the first time that I've actually gotten a comment on a video where I'm pretty sure it's actually legit, that this is the person that sold me the army. I can't be sure of that, but the name stands out, and I'm pretty sure is the person I bought it from on eBay. After a while, eBay erases your history. You can only go in so deep, so I can't actually check. But it does sound familiar.
Yeah,
obviously, yeah, you do. Yeah, you have any thoughts so far, Brent? Because, like, there's a lot in this. There's a lot to unpack here.
Well, first off, I think it's interesting that this is the first person to say, "Hey, I recognize that army," or "I recognize that model." And this was bound to happen as your channel is growing. I would have expected it before now, honestly, but this was going to happen. It's interesting that this was the first one. Completely separate of, you know, the origins of this army. It's hilarious that the first message that you got was on the video titled "The Worst Warhammer Army I've Ever Seen," and you got a response, "I sold you this."
Yeah.
But yeah, it makes us think about where our stuff goes after we pass, right?
Yeah. And I mean, as unfortunate as the story that's been given here, yeah, I don't know. Like, obviously, I wrote the title "Worst Warhammer Army I've Ever Seen," not knowing anything about this backstory. You know, it's mostly harmless. It's a half-stripped army. You know, there's some paint on it, but there's not like a paint job on the models. So it's not like I'm going in making fun of, you know, somebody's models here. But it still makes me feel bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you got a layer of protection there because it is bad because it was partially stripped. Like you're really not making light of any one's paint job here.
No, and I've certainly gone out of my way to say the exact opposite thing. Like, of course, we're like not making fun of people's progress, right?
And plus, you gotta bait those clicks, man. You gotta bait those clicks.
That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
Like, this video is almost my highest viewed video at this point. Almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a couple of things here. One, I mean, tragic that this belonged to a 9-year-old who's no longer with us. But two, how many other like items belonging to that kid are actually worth money? Like this is a reminder that that our figurines, like this hobby, retains value pretty well, even if it is, you know, covered in half-stripped paint. Like these things do have resale value, and you know, when we pass, so many of our possessions do just, go to the trash, or maybe they'll go to, Salvation Army or some other secondhand swap place. But a lot of our possessions just depreciate in value so quickly. But our figurines are something that are very likely to go and end up with another collector. It is likely that they will, after our passing, not just go in the trash can 2 months later. It is very likely that they will go on and live beyond us through someone else. And so that's kind of the question we're talking about here, of thinking about what happens to our stuff, but then to a degree, we don't need to worry about that too much. What we need to worry about is how we treat those things that belonged to someone before us.
Yeah, and it kind of got me thinking about like how I want to frame the last video, because I'm putting as much effort as I can into making this army decent, and kind of having this backstory, which like I said, I've never gotten before from a seller, like puts into context kind of the work that I've been doing. It's like, on one hand, okay, I'm fixing the army up to sell it so I can keep doing this channel, right? But now it's more of a legacy thing. I want to keep this going. I want this story to continue. Like, unfortunately, obviously he died too soon. There's no better way to put that. And if this was my first army, I certainly would have appreciated someone to pick up where I left off.
Right.
So yeah, it's just interesting how, a comment like this just changes your entire viewpoint on something like just toys that we have. Yeah, it just kind of hit me a little bit, and I just wasn't sure how to think about it, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's options here. Like, you could reach out to this commenter and see if the family wants to tell you anything to put as a very short tribute into your final video on this. That's just brainstorming here.
Not they supposedly live in the same state that I do, in the same town.
Yeah, so that's a fair point. And I mean, whoever this is may just want to move past those memories and not talk to a YouTuber who paints toys. But I mean, I think you were planning on selling this, but now are you locked into giving this to a charity auction for cancer research or something? Like, there's options here. Or,
yeah, there are certainly a lot of options. Like,
take one of the HQs, take the what I've forgotten the name, whatever the greater blood demon that you painted for this video was, and put that in a charity auction or something.
Well, and that's where it gets a little more confusing, is that some of this army isn't from that auction.
Sure.
So now it's kind of this whole thing, right? Yeah, I like a majority of the models are, and I still have a bunch of the models that were broken, and the ones that were kind of melty and not really usable. I can do something with those. I could do something like that. I mean, the reason that I'm painting the army is to sell and fund this channel further, and I don't see a way around that technically.
Sure.
Like,
other possibilities are, this is kind of what I did with one model from Chris, is I painted one model up as kind of the tribute to the person who had originally owned that collection, and I put it in just my display case of, I am keeping this just as is, and the purpose is pretty much to remind me of where I got a lot of my models from.
Right. I like that. That's good. Yeah. I mean, I like that video that you did, that whole restoration kind of a thing. It was good.
Yeah. And of course, in your situation, the decision to strip the army had been made for you.
Yeah.
And so, there's not a lot to preserve there. You could, I don't know if the actual like force composition of the army was anything special, or if it was just pretty much what you would expect for a Corn army at that time.
I think it was 2 start collecting boxes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
in fact, I'm pretty sure that's
not much to do there, but I don't know if there's any like a duplicate character in there, a duplicate blood secretor or something,
Yeah, actually, that does bring to mind. There's one HQ unit that I won't be selling, so that would be the perfect model. Yeah. It's one of the fancier Corn heroes too. So yeah, that would be perfect. Yeah. And it's stripped a little less too. Like you can still kind of see what it looked like. So that might be a good way to go.
I mean, it's pretty clear that you've been working with like the same color palette, because you can still see like the nasty half stripped red, and so there is that. At least you're paying homage in that way.
Yeah, and in fact, that one of the blood letters was like one of the old GW ones, and it had a blue sword on it, like the classic blue sword.
Yeah.
On the demon, and all of these have blue swords.
Yep.
So I mean, I have to assume, because it's all the information I have, that's as close to maybe what it was originally intended to be. I don't know.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So I've been brainstorming, ways to pay special tribute or whatever here, but the fact that you're taking an abandoned project and finishing it, that is huge right there in itself. That is awesome. So many of our figures do not get finished, and certainly don't get done up as well as you're doing to this army. So that's great. But yeah, I mean, it raises this issue of this hobby has been around for 30 years in terms of like gaining enough popularity so that there's like a lot of models floating around for 20 or 30 years in terms of sheer integration of numbers of models being produced and owned and collected. But that means that as time goes on, more and more of the collectors of Warhammer models are going to pass away. And they have been collector's items for the last 20 years. They will likely continue to be so for a while longer. Especially if we're, continuing to grow this hobby and keep people interested and keep the market going well on these things.
Yeah.
So there's absolutely going to be, a tradition and, manners around what you do with a comrade's things.
Right. Yeah, which is kind of what I wanted to talk about, and I suppose from here we can kind of jump off and say, what would you like to happen with your collection?
Yeah, somebody needs to paint all this stuff,
right?
Somebody I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna do my best, but time's ticking here, so
exactly.
Look, I'm gonna try to not stay up all night, every night reading Twitter. I'm going to try to get some sleep. I'm going to try to eat healthy, and I'm going to try to devote as much time as I can to painting models, but we all know I'm not going to finish. So let it be known here and now that, if you end up with some of these things, just try to keep that going. Somebody's got to paint them.
Yeah.
But no, there's that meme of, when I pass, I hope my family doesn't sell these for what I told them I paid for them.
that is
my
always the
greatest
thing,
fear
right?
is that my wife sells my minis for what I told her I paid for them.
$300, right? Like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I was talking with, this is a while back now, but I was talking with Blake from Life After the Cover Save, and he was saying, or alternatively, that's exactly what should happen, is sell your stuff for cheap, get them out to people,
Yeah.
Especially if it is going to be like a big score for, some nerd on Craigslist.
I mean, yeah, like that drove you to doing greater things within the hobby.
Here we are.
Exactly. I like that option.
Yeah. So, I mean, throughout human history, the inheritance of items and should you keep them and do you actually use them and when do you get rid of great grandma's china has always been a question.
For sure. Yeah.
And like, I'm pretty sure that my parents have like my father's grandmother's china. Like, I think they still have that in a box somewhere. And someday it will be up to me to bring that box to Goodwill. It's not my turn yet, but someday it will be.
Isn't that is a strange thing? Like, there's a sense of obligation that your parents still hold, and you know that eventually it's going to come down to you to pick that box out of the attic or garage or wherever, to place it in your car and to drive it to Goodwill, right? Like, but you can't do it yet because they're watching.
Yeah.
But it's going to get there.
No, I mean, I don't think they have... I think the obligation on that sort of thing wanes generation by generation until eventually it's like, no, these things are just made out of lead. Like, I'm not even sure if we should be giving these to the Goodwill.
Well, like, I assume, and definitely correct me if I'm wrong, but I assume that you have been watching The Repair Shop on Netflix.
I've been told to, but I haven't been.
Okay.
A couple of months ago, I decided to downsize. I actually canceled Netflix. That's the one I've canceled successfully. I've successfully canceled CBS All Access and Netflix. But Netflix was one I'd had for like 10 years, and they jacked up the price by like $1 a month, and I was just like, no, I can't keep doing this. But it was a situation. It's like, look, Netflix had been like my primary one for years. We're like, no, we're gonna give this like a year in the off cycle to kind of reseed the earth. Get
get those new shows.
Do some crop rotation here. I'll try to concentrate on Amazon Prime and Hulu for 2021, and then maybe we cycle back to Netflix once we got a couple more seasons of a few key shows on there.
Yeah.
So no, I have not watched The Repairman. I'll make a little note.
I had thought you had been because of that restoration video, because that's what they do. It's a repair shop. They take all sorts of stuff that has been, things that have been handed down through the generations. Oh, this is my great grandmother's, chair or clock or whatever it is. And I've been watching that show a whole bunch. Because it is this like love of the thing and bringing back these memories, and they're restoring stuff to its original, kind of what it looked like when it was new. And it's very meticulous and it's just a really cool show. You don't see that too often. And of course, it kind of hit with me because that's kind of what I try and do. But, yeah, I just assumed you had been watching that because it just popped up on Netflix. It's like, here's this new season, this show. And then you were like, yes, I'm doing this restoration thing. I've been watching restoration stuff. So I felt inspired. And I'm like, I know what you're doing, but no, I was wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, on this stuff, like, you want someone to take care of it, but it's only actually going to get taken care of if it falls into the hands of somebody who's interested in this.
Yeah.
And so instead of, maybe your son and your daughter will get really into Warhammer, and you can just do a direct blood relative.
Yeah.
You can nominate your heir at some point in your will.
I mean, I will, if I'm still on YouTube, like, that'll just happen. Like, there will be nominations. I will go through the collection.
Maybe this is the beginning of us writing like extremely long last will and testament documents that are just like updated and countersigned every year.
Yeah.
And just like there's like 2 lines at the bottom about all our other belongings, and it's just like, Section 3, Paragraph 2, the Dark Eldar, otherwise known as Drukari.
Otherwise known as Drukari.
Yeah. As Trubael Vect, I bequeath unto...
whoever called dibs first. Untrapped under plastic. Yeah.
The following boxes of Space Marine bits are to be auctioned for no less with a starting bid of...
that would be a way to go, for sure.
The metal Sisters of Battle, currently known as the Adepta Sororitas, are to be placed on a buy it now auction for $100.
Yeah.
Adjusted for inflation as per 2037 currency.
Like whatever year in which. Yeah. Oh, I love it. That reminds me of something that I was talking to Luke from Geek Gaming.
Mm-hmm.
And he was telling me about this other guy, Oliver from Broadsword Gaming, who has a sandblaster. And he's stripping models using a sandblaster. And like apparently not damaging models. And I know it sounds crazy. I watched the video. He did it with a Forge World Horus Heresy model. And it looks perfect. And like he just went in there like blasting the thing. Right? So I'm going to try it out. But Oliver also promised to give Luke his sandblaster. And didn't. Gave it to his brother instead. Just needed to throw that out there. So, Article 43, Section B, I'm going to bequeath Luke my sandblaster after I get one.
Ollie gets nothing?
Correct.
Anything that would otherwise go to Ollie will be buried with me? Actually, that'd be hilarious. We didn't talk about this much before we started the episode, but I think it'd be really funny if one of us just took the position of, I want an extra large coffin and all of my stuff goes in there with me.
Like straight up Viking funeral style. We're going to mix it up a little bit. I want the Alaskan coffin, just the triple wide. Like throw everything in there.
They only made 2,000 copies of Ed's Drubael Vect, and all 4 of my copies are being buried with me. So.
Right. Like if I can't paint them, no one can.
But no, like whenever you're getting used minis, even if you are assuming that the original owner is still alive but just doesn't care about them anymore, I think the best thing that you can do is just enjoy them and get some use out of them. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's a weird thing that I've never actually thought about before. Like, why did I get this model for $2 when it's obviously, clearly worth $35? Right? Like, I don't know. It's one of those things that like probably 99% of people will just never think about or care about. But that's why we have this podcast, Brent. I want to talk about weird crap like that.
Yeah, here we are. Yeah. I think the answer is just some people don't spend as much time on Craigslist and eBay as you do, Casey.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to start my last will and testament, and again, it's just going to be like 17 pages of Warhammer models, 1 page of non-GW products, and then just a scrawl at the bottom about what to do with the cats. Yeah.
Right. You're just assuming that you're going to go before the cats. That's noble. I like it.
Please send cats to Casey or new podcast host.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't worry. I'm going to get someone to replace you real quick.
Please send Snuffles 4 to new podcast host. Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, because this obviously doesn't work without the cats, so
No,
might as well just give up.
But yeah, for this army of corn, I think you're doing exactly the right stuff. Like you're just getting it painted up well, making a full army out of it, which is something that most models don't get. They don't get to be painted up nicely and stand next to their fellows all painted up nicely and covered in blood. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I haven't used any blood for the blood god on this entire army yet.
Are you just going to break down at the very end and spend like 1 minute flicking at it at everything?
I mean, I really want to.
I'm planting that in your head.
Yeah, I know you are. Like, a part of me wants to, but my problem is I tend to overdo the blood. Because I'll like do it and be like, oh, that looks so sweet. It's disgusting. Awesome. I'll set it on the table. And 5 minutes later, I look by and it's like, where did I put that blood spatter? And I like kind of turn them out. Oh, there it is. Right. There's really not enough. And then it becomes a problem and there's just too much. Like if I can't see it from 10 feet away, there's not enough blood. Yeah. And then I might as well just, dip the entire army in blood for the blood god and call it a day. I can't do that.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about. You'll have to make your choice.
Yeah.
I'm just planting the seed though.
I know. It could use some blood though. All right. Keep me off that. Don't talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah. My response to this comment though was that, I felt bad, but I am going to do the best that I can to do justice to this army. And, that's all I can do. So.
Okay. Well, here's a tweak on it though. Both of us have a lot of used models. Do you find it interesting to know the story behind the models that you were not the original owner for? Or do you kind of like the mystery better of this was a lot of models that I got for $85?
I mean, as far as the excitement factor of I just bought a lot of models for $85, like I'm cool with that. But especially when I started getting donations for my channel, I asked people specifically to give me as much background story as possible. Just to kind of showcase like a little bit of where the models have been. Because in some cases, like the original black coach that I painted, I did kind of a collaboration with Ben from Schnitzy Basing. But he didn't have a channel at the time. I kind of talked him into making one after that. It's a whole other thing. But like he was saying that he had purchased the model secondhand from a guy from like Norway or something. I think it was Norway. And the model just traveled all over the place, and it kind of ended up in these different states, of disrepair throughout that crazy kind of journey. Like this piece of pewter has been clear across the world several times and been shipped all over the place, right? So I thought that was really fascinating, and I liked that I could add that aspect into the videos. Ironically, I don't think I actually talked about that at all in that particular video, but in other videos I have talked about kind of like the models, where they're from, if there was anything about the person that sent them to me, if somebody commissioned something, it's like, well, why do you want this model the way you want it? What is your story? And I really appreciated that. So I don't know, it's like whether or not this comment is true or not, it makes me think deeper about plastic toys than, any other plastic toy I've ever had, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's something very unique and special about this particular hobby.
So separately from this, I'm really enjoying the idea of kind of this new phenomenon happening of whenever somebody sells something on eBay, they keep checking your channel to see if their thing pops up.
Yeah.
I like the idea that this is going to be a thing going on in the future. I used to watch a lot of Hearthstone streaming. Mm-hmm. So streamer Kriparian playing Hearthstone. And I mean, you play a game of cards And then when one game is over, you enter the queue to play a new game. And then, 5 seconds later, the computer matches you with somebody new. But in that situation, like the people watching his stream could be like, okay, he's queuing for a new game. If I queue for a new game right now, I can play against this streamer and I get to see what he's holding in his hand.
That's messed up.
And so, stream sniping, it was pretty good against somebody in a card game.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of eBay miniature rescues getting so big that anyone who sells a mini on eBay then starts like checking your channel or even like you say that you're collecting a corn army or that you're thinking about getting really into Tau, and then people start like putting up misspelled Tau and like putting like weird little notes in the box if they get a buyer from Nevada.
Right. I mean, I always, every time I open a box from eBay, I'm always like, it'd be awesome if there was a letter in this. Just like a little thing. And there hasn't been. And it's probably people, because
start selling your stuff on eBay. And if you get a buyer from Reno, you know what to do.
My eBay name is my actual name. It's not my YouTube channel name because I've had the account forever.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to reset my counter. My eBay counter, and I was not going to do that. Are you crazy? Yeah.
Well, it's more fun if it's a mysterious account. I think so.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I've seen, okay, so one other time somebody said, hey, that's my model. And I've never gotten a response from that person, so I just assume it was fake. It was a long time ago, too. And the only other kinds of comments that I've seen that are somewhat related are like, oh man, I almost bid on that. Like, yeah, okay. That makes sense.
I'm glad you didn't.
Yeah.
Thank you for not doing that.
I did apologize to somebody for like sniping an auction, like last minute. Because they're like, oh man, I was trying to buy this on eBay. And I'm like, hey man, like I know how I feel after losing an auction, so I just want to apologize right now. They're just like, okay,
dear
thank
viewer,
you.
Too slow. Get wrecked.
Exactly.
Better luck next time.
Mm-hmm. Just troll the hell out.
Uninstall.
Should have gotten a sniper bot. Yeah. It's an interesting thing to think about for the future. Fascinating.
All right, ready to move it along here?
Let's move it along.
All right. Got a longtime viewer, RM, says, you say that we need more eyes on this hobby, yet when the hobby is so toxic to outside newcomers in so many different ways, even above and beyond GW prices, I don't know if the hobby deserves it. I don't know if the hobby deserves more eyes on it. What say you, Casey?
I mean, if it's a matter of deserves or not, like, I think everything deserves a chance. Like, I mean, I haven't found the Warhammer community at large to be toxic in any way. I mean, I've been personally called toxic before. I think there are a lot of people who think that certain specific things might be toxic. I know that there are other YouTube channels that are considered toxic. And maybe that's why we wouldn't necessarily deserve something, but
well, you've told the story of the first time you got into Warhammer, that you had some bad experiences, and then you got kind of out of the hobby for 20 years.
I left because, yes, it was toxic, but, you know, thinking about it even now, it's like the internet back then was what it was. You know, it's pretty random, filled with who knows what kind of people. I was 11 and people were saying, oh, this is garbage. This is garbage paint job. And it's like, I get worse comments now, but I also get a majority of good comments too.
I'm not sure if the internet as a whole has gotten better since the 90s.
Yeah, I don't know. More people on it for sure.
Um, I mean, my take on this is that as a whole, I really like where the hobby is at.
Yeah.
On the whole. And as part of me saying that, I'd almost say find me a hobby that has a better community or that has less negativity. Because if we're talking video games or, I mean, almost any other thing that you can think of, I don't know, drone racing. What are hobbies, yeah, right. Casey?
Well, I mean, yeah, gaming, drone racing, that's a good one. Parkour, like
very
motocross.
Toxic.
Yeah. Yeah, being in music at all in any capacity. You said fish. Like, what is the most like as a whole? What video have you gotten the most?
Tank's too big, wrong temperature.
Oh man, that is
OMG! You mixed an Amazonian fish with an African fish.
Favorite thing on YouTube.
That is a Central American fish, not a South American fish. That fish is gonna grow to the size of. You must be taking bad care of that fish. You feed that fish tetramin food. You want to be feeding your fish pure ash.
Yeah, like that felt toxic. that was hostile. Like going into that comment section was a hostile environment. Like I never seen that on a Goobertown video.
I don't know if I mentioned this before, but old Bubbles for Christmas got a little log. He's got terrain now. Ooh. Bubbles the fish has terrain in his 15-gallon tank.
If you'd like to donate a larger tank to Brent, P.O. box in the description below.
No, the tank's solid. I will get maybe a little more terrain. He's got a couple lily pads. He's got a hollow log that he can swim. It's a plastic log, but it looks like a log. It's it's good terrain.
He doesn't know the difference.
No, but RM, if you've had some negative experiences, I'm sorry. Keep trying. Like I think on the whole, most people you'll run into in this hobby, pretty good.
I mean, I feel like because RM's been around listening to this podcast for quite a while. Yeah.
But I mean, it's easy to have a negative experience, and I certainly know the feeling of like one negative experience is worth 100 positive or neutral ones.
For sure. Yeah. But I guess my point is that like every time we're making a video or we're doing a podcast, like for the most part, like we are trying to promote this hobby in a light of encouragement and positivity.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, I feel like that's kind of our underlying goal, Like the podcast is called Paint Bravely. Right. There are many other podcasts and many other YouTube channels, especially, that are kind of on the same wavelength. Like, no one is calling anyone out for being a new painter. And I mean, you go into some darker areas on the internet and it gets a little seedy. You go to some comment sections and who knows? But I mean, that's just like anything else, right? You go to one hobby shop and you might have a bad experience. You go to another hobby shop and it might be the best hobby shop you've ever been to with people who actually care. So yeah, like try again, continue to branch out.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And you made the point, Casey, that we are always trying to encourage people to get into this hobby because we do think it is a good use of time, a good way to calm down at the end of the day and build some skills and continue to build those over the course of a lifetime and get a feeling of accomplishment. And for the most part, that accomplishment can fit on a couple of shelves, maybe a couple of shelving units, depending on how much you accomplish. But
yeah, certainly.
Of course, Casey, you and I are more attuned to like the YouTube space, and
sure,
there are a couple of YouTube channels that are, I mean, just going with the times, like filled with hate and conspiracy theories.
Yes, there are.
Yeah, but those channels, at least recently, have not done any painting, and they're they're, kind of Warhammer adjacent, or gaming adjacent, but most of the crafters are pretty welcoming people, tolerant, not spouting cruel memes, hatred, and conspiracy theories. So so there's that.
I mean, again, it's the community at large is very positive and welcoming. And obviously there's always going to be a few outliers. It's going to happen. But like you said, those channels are dying, I guess. That's a good way to put it. I mean, losing subscribers, hemorrhaging subscribers, maybe a good way. I don't know. Or in some cases, just gone.
Yeah, at the time we're recording this, the formerly Arch Warhammer, before Warhammer told them they couldn't use the word Warhammer, that's kind of the best known channel that could credibly be called a neo-Nazi. My understanding is that he's not actually a neo-Nazi, but he's like pretty chummy with neo-Nazis. So that channel got like hacked by Bitcoin scammers a few days ago as of this recording. And they moved to, I don't know, Parler or something until YouTube. I mean, hopefully YouTube restores their channel, because losing your channel to Bitcoin scammers, like, I click on links I shouldn't also, like, but once YouTube restores their channel, I hope people realize that spending my time watching someone so full of hate and destruction is not good for me. Like, I've, especially with the lynch mob taking over the Capitol last week, I've been thinking a lot about hate and the spreading of hate, and actually I've been thinking about Star Wars a lot. The second half of Return of the Jedi, not so much the Jabba's sail barge stuff, but the throne room of Luke confronting Vader while also not giving in to hatred, and and that's such a fine line to walk. But just as I've gotten older, like the Star Wars, the dark side, the light side, the Jedis, the Sith, like that stuff is actually a pretty good morality system. It actually like just becomes more and more true the more I think about it.
Right.
Yeah. I used to really like the Ewoks and the A-Wings from that movie, but turns out the throne room scene is really good cinema. So
yeah. I mean, that's the magic of Star Wars, right? Like, you love it when you're little, and you love it when you're older.
That's right. Yeah. Good lessons all the way through. Reject hatred, and
I mean, I think that's a really good point to fall back on. Like, not like, okay, if you want to go the Star Wars route, like the Emperor is trying to make Luke kill Darth Vader through being hateful. Right.
The dark side is seductive. It's
I mean, it's easier.
Not more powerful, but it is quicker.
Yeah. Like, what I'm thinking is that while I don't necessarily agree with some of these other YouTube channels, like, I certainly don't think that having your channel taken down by hackers and then YouTube just being okay with that is okay. Like, there's still capacity. There is a capacity for people to change.
Yeah, that's the Vader in that situation.
Right.
Anyone can, no matter how far gone, anyone can come back. In that situation, I don't think that little guy is coming back. Like, I think that's the third person in that scenario is the Emperor, who is deplatformed and falls into the core. But
right. Well, that's supposed to be like the devil on your shoulder.
Yeah, you're not supposed to be deplatformed by Bitcoin hackers. That's not how it's supposed to work. So
no, you need your own audience to do that for you, to tell you we've had enough. And the Darth Vader switching is that audience. Yeah. I mean, I hold out hope for some of these people, but we'll see in time how it goes, I suppose.
Yeah. I like to think Gamza can come back. I mean, he's less neo-Nazi and more just posting like angry, hateful, trollish stuff.
Right.
It's just jokes, but it's,
Not necessarily
the
in
type
good
of
form,
hateful
in good
jokes
taste.
doesn't really make it cool. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But he talks about reading the Bible, and he mostly uses that to justify awful stuff. But some people use the Bible for good, though. So I have hope that Gamza is the Vader in this situation, and someday he'll come back around to just kind of making tutorials and not being hateful.
Yeah.
Deplorable.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, that's just the problem, standing on a platform that says one thing or whatever, and then trying to just manipulate it for your own benefit to justify anything. It's like you can use anything to justify anything. Like, what's right and wrong. It is what it is. Yeah.
So there are embarrassments in our community, but they don't paint, so you don't need to worry about it.
Right. They're not painters. It's
fine. Yeah, so if your hobby is painting, you don't need to worry about those folks. Just,
I mean, it's true. Like, I knew about those channels, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, I've stumbled across them, but I've only ever watched painting tutorials channels. Like when I got started, it was a lot of channels that don't exist anymore. And Scott. Like a bunch of channels and Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there actually are a bunch of little channels that kind of look up to the two bad actors I mentioned there. You don't need to worry about them.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you see a small channel like making a video about a larger YouTuber, like not a collaboration, but and not like a random shout out in a video, but like if a small channel is making a video about Arch or about Gamza, you don't need to worry about those guys.
No, I feel like that's more of like trying to fill a void, or I don't know, come in with an untarnished.
I don't know. There's actually a lot of those channels out there that just are like putting Arch in the title of their videos. But
I mean, if you've got
they're a
that
dime
many
a dozen. Just if you see a channel doing that, you don't have to watch them, and then you're just guaranteed not to be contaminated with neo-Nazi crap. So
what was that? There's some random channel that's all in Russian that keeps taking like. He's taken your videos, he's taken Squidmar's videos and like redubbed them.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, there's a little bit of thievery going on there. I haven't done the translation, but I don't think they're using our video to spread.
Not necessarily spread
white
anything, but just be like
stuff.
I took paint and put it on this thing. Look at me. Like, I don't know what it is. It's just like I know there are channels out there doing that.
Yeah, there's one Russian channel in particular that just redubs videos from other painters and then puts like a slightly different thumbnail on it.
Yeah. It's so weird.
And they're pretty small, and them I watch with great interest because I don't fully understand what it is that they're doing, but
yeah,
they seem to like the hobby and like our videos. So
I mean, that's the thing. It's like it's probably perfectly fine, and it's like the best dub that they could make. Speaking both languages, and cool. Okay, why not just write the subtitles with the community contribution? But whatever.
And they actually do link to the original videos in their description also.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
I mean, all right, whatever. Like there's a lot of stuff out there. There's some hate that we, for the most part, as hobbyists, we just need to ignore it, because there are just hateful people out there. And there's not much we can do other than, you know, if we are the ones spreading encouragement and trying to be the light in this hobby, then the more people that we bring into this hobby and the more people that understand that this is fun and it's meant to be good, then that message is going to continue to spread. And there will be more people. I think this hobby does deserve that because it is a good hobby.
Yeah. I have fully considered this question, and I absolutely will continue to encourage people to give this hobby a chance because vast majority of the community is great. The hobby itself is meditative and rewarding and good for self-development and all that stuff. So absolutely, I continue to believe that people should get into this hobby. That's all we need to say about that, really. Like, and if you do run into some of that weird nerd hate,
just ignore it, man.
Sometimes I go down a rabbit hole of like this Star Wars channel is just talking about Brie Larson for video after video after video. It's just the Star Wars channel is way into Gamergate, but what would Luke Skywalker do? Luke Skywalker's not into Gamergate, and like that's not what Star Wars is. But that's a whole different rant, you know. Save that one for later. Yeah,
I think so.
That's a different hobby anyway. But what would Luke Skywalker do? You run into some real BS online or in the community. What would Luke Skywalker do? Move past it. I mean, you know, confront it, but then move past it.
Right, confront it. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we need to confront things sometimes, occasionally, and we have.
That's the tricky question, and that's why that scene's so tough, man. He goes from like, "I will not fight you, father," to then he fights his father, to then he won't fight his father. I mean, it's tricky, right?
It's tough, right? Like, we are only human.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and hate and anger is easy. It's so easy. And I do think that's why there are so many YouTube channels in general that are about reviewing other videos, reviewing other things, and it being the negativity that drives that. And as sad as it is, like, it's an easy trap to fall into. If you're going to niche your YouTube channel, don't go down the YouTube hate route.
Boom, brought it right back. Exactly. Yeah. So I guess what we just revealed is that there aren't a lot of really hateful, spiteful, disgusting painting YouTubers out there. I mean, that's actually something we're missing.
I've seen one guy, and I can never remember who it is because I'm like equally appalled and also kind of laughing at the same time because I don't understand it. Like, he's definitely taking the piss out of YouTube channels, and he's been doing it for a while. But he sits there and, like, I don't know. He just paints stuff, and he paints like halfway decently, but it's just like, take the paint and you slap that shit down over here, and then he just starts laughing about it, and he's like, and that's it. And it's like, but then he's talking crap about it.
You're gonna have to find this and share it with me.
I've tried to find it, and I don't know what it is. And I want to know what it is, because it was like I said, like, equally hilarious and appalling at the same time. I just didn't know what to think about it, and I should have subscribed, and I didn't. So if anybody knows what I'm talking about,
if you find it again, you let me know. But A-Rock, if you're ever thinking about niches for hobby content, look, there's hateful lore channels, and there's not hateful lore channels, and there's good painting channels, but there are no just really hateful, intolerant, deplorable painting channels. And
that's a good point. Yeah.
Look, not saying you should, but I'm saying the niche is open, and
I mean,
it's a good thing the niche is open, but there's room to grow there if you.
I mean, technically, yes, there is an audience there. Do you want to cultivate that?
If you do this, but
100%, yeah.
You will not be our friends anymore.
Exactly.
I'm sorry that this is the only niche option we've given you, but
right.
or the Faces of Warhammer. That's the other.
I'm telling you, the Faces or Oh, wow. Oh, man, I forgot the name. I had a great name for capes earlier. I forgot it already.
Oh, actually, A-Rock does some pretty nice capes, so that could be an option.
All
Or you
right.
could get really into the Imperial Roman starter army, because people are always wanting me to paint this, and I
I
still
bet they
haven't
are.
yet. So
But they're asking for
somebody's
it.
got to. Yeah, there's definitely a niche open for painting Romans. I'll tell you that right now.
I mean, I don't think you'll get a ton of love for it, but
Romans look cool.
they look cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it'd be even better though, is to buy the Cromlech Roman Centurion bits and put them on Space Marines, because that would actually get views. Actually, conversions. That's a niche that I don't think anybody's hit on directly. Like always
Mezgag.
conversions.
Well, Mike
Okay,
Mezgag
sure.
was doing a great job, and then he stopped posting for a little while. But
Well, I mean, he takes so long to make
fair.
each piece that I mean, that's he runs at like one video a year, gets tons of views, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, strictly, I'm going to convert these for this reason, and not even necessarily paint or sculpting 101 with green stuff isn't taken. I have not found a good like channel that teaches you how to sculpt with green stuff.
Yeah. Ever since Darren Latham wasn't allowed to post anymore, like if you can get a job at GW and post on YouTube, like that niche is wide open.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they'll let you though.
No. I mean, if you're an ex-employee,
conversions is a good one.
Get a job at GW, learn how to paint better, or however they do it.
Get yourself
then quit.
A puppet.
Quit GW. And then that's how you'd have to do that, right? You'd have to quit.
I was going to say secret GW employee. Like,
so
they know
craftsman,
they know you're one of like 5 possibilities, but you wear a puppet the whole time, like craftsman. And
man, I was looking up hand puppets the other day on Amazon. Surprisingly expensive.
Make your own.
I know. I thought about it. Even the kits are. I mean, they're not super expensive, but still, like, I've done a little hand puppetry on the channel before. I had a little Squidmar Squid. He's made some voice appearances on the channel. I thought that was pretty fun. I like me some craftsman.
Yeah, craftsman of painting minis. So you paint minis, but just sock puppet the whole time.
I mean, I would watch it. Of course, then everyone would compare you to craftsman, and that's probably not a good thing.
Just different type of puppet.
What would you? Paints man.
Paints man. Paints man, steady painting.
Steady painting.
Look, we've given you a ton of ideas.
I mean, these are gold ideas, okay?
All right, I see that you have one more thing posted at the bottom of our notes here, Casey.
I did, just because we haven't talked about it in a little while. Teal Lizardmen.
Ooh.
Yeah, new Underworlds coming soon. At least I think it's new. I'm pretty sure it is.
It's new.
I saw this picture somewhere. So some new Lizardmen coming out for Underworlds, and they look pretty sick. Yeah.
Underworlds. I love the idea of Underworlds so much. These boxes are all so good.
Well, like
for $30,
right?
I think they upped it from
$30
$30 to $35. I think they made that change, but
okay, I thought they'd been, but either way, that's still sweet. That's a great price for like a box of awesome models.
Yeah, so this is 6 Lizard Men figures, and at GW prices, that's pretty good because at least several of these you can definitely use as like hero characters. There's a skink star priest kind of guy there. You got
100%.
You got a big Saurus warrior. He's a squad leader at least.
Yeah, it's nice, and I'm probably gonna buy it. I've been also looking into Lizardmen, because I've got a handful. I got to think about options. Coming up, right? I'm almost done with this corn army. Kind of thinking like, painting an army every quarter, every 3 or 4 months, whatever, sounds pretty nice. So, weighing my options, got a bunch of Tau. But now Squidmar's on Tau. So I got to hold off.
Just don't do blue Tau. He's doing blue Tau. You do
doing something
any
else
other
Tau.
thing. Anything else.
That's true. But Lizardmen sound awesome, and I painted that Star Priest a while back, and it was super cool and great, and I loved it. And painting more lizards sounds fun, so might have to go down that rabbit hole.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get there myself, and actually I probably will have to pick this box up too.
Sweet.
All right. Anything else for today, Casey?
I don't think so.
All right, take us out.
All right. Well, thank you again for joining us on another episode of Paint Bravely. If you enjoyed this podcast, please help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, subscribing to the YouTube channel, and sharing this message with your hobby friends. And as always, we appreciate each and every one of you for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
Yep, thanks everybody. See you next time.